welcome back to my channel. So I'm really excited to be making this video today because it's going to be a review slash comparison between these two products. This is the highly coveted Holy Grail Beauty Blender, as well as the new e.l.f. cosmetic sponge that just recently came out. And as a lot of you probably know, the Beauty Blender does come in several different sizes. There's this original size that does retail for $20. There's also a mid-size one that's meant for like cream blush, and that retails for $16. And then they have a little micro mini duo set that's meant for concealer, and that retails for $18. But what e.l.f. has done has actually decided to combine all three sizes into one box, and this is their Beautifully Precise Precision Sponge Trio. So what they did was they took an original foundation size, a little blush guy, so it's like a mid-size guy, and then a little micro mini guy, combine them all in one box for $12. I'm only going to be comparing these two. I will, of course, demonstrate how these work as well. And what's sad is that I actually used to have the Beauty Blender Micro Minis, but I don't know if I lost it during the move or what happened, but I haven't been able to find it since. But I am still familiar with how it worked and how it applied, so I can still give somewhat of a comparison between that one and this little guy. So comparing these two guys in size, the original Beauty Blender is obviously a lot more slender than the cosmetic sponge from e.l.f. The one from e.l.f. is definitely a little bit fatter and rounder at the bottom. In terms of the texture of these, the original Beauty Blender is definitely a lot more squishy than the one from e.l.f. The e.l.f. one is definitely a little bit more firm and dense. And just to show you in comparison how far down I can squeeze on the Beauty Blender versus the e.l.f. one, the e.l.f. one definitely has a lot more resistance in there. So here is what the e.l.f. cosmetic sponge looks like wet versus the Beauty Blender. So again, the e.l.f. one is obviously a lot larger in size. So the foundation I'm going to be using today, of course, no surprise here, is my trusty Milani 2-in-1 foundation in 04 Medium Beige. Okay, so I feel like the coats are pretty even. I'm gonna go ahead and start off on this side with the original Beauty Blender, and then I'll finish up the other side of my face with the e.l.f. cosmetic sponge. That is one layer of the foundation on my skin. I'll go ahead and blend the rest of my face with the e.l.f. one. So this is the side that I blended with the Beauty Blender, and then this is the side that I did with the e.l.f. cosmetic sponge. To me, they blended pretty similarly. When I actually apply them on my face, they feel very different. This one is definitely like a huge sponge, so you kind of have to be careful to not like mess everything else up when you're using it. But I think in terms of how it blended the foundation, they look pretty similar. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in with layer 2 now. So again, going in with the Beauty Blender on one side to blend the second layer in. One thing that I definitely noticed between the application between these two guys is that I feel like the original Beauty Blender definitely gets into my skin or pushes the product a little bit further into my skin because it's a little bit more squishy and flexible, so it kind of really gets in there. Yeah, the e.l.f. one is a little bit like it kind of feels like I'm beating myself up when I use it because it's very, very dense. So next I'm going in with my current favorite cream blush, and this one is by MEMEBOX. It's in the shade Cantabile. It's a really beautiful, like intensely peachy pink coral shade, and I'm just applying that onto my cheeks, and I'm doing a pretty generous layer, that way it shows up on camera. I'm going to blend this side out with the Beauty Blender, and then I am blending the opposite side out with the e.l.f. little mid-size guy. Again, I feel like they blend pretty similarly. This one just was a little bit harsher on my face. Again, the Beauty Blender is just a lot softer in application, so that's the main difference that I noticed between the two. Lastly, I'm gonna go ahead and conceal my under eyes, and today I'm using the Maybelline Master Concealer in light medium. This is a long time go-to. I actually have no idea why I applied my cream blush before my concealer. That's normally not what I do, but it's so funny how sometimes like when you're filming something, you'll do things so backwards and weird because you're like excited but then you end up sometimes screwing things up because you're so excited that you forget to do things in the right way. So sorry about that. And now to blend out this side of my face, I'm going in with the smallest sponge from the e.l.f. trio. And I have to say that I actually like this one a lot more than the Beauty Blender Micro Mini, because that one was super soft. It was pretty much the exact same material as this original Beauty Blender. So when you were getting in these little areas, it would just kind of get a little bit squishy. This one is definitely a lot more dense, so it stays pointed when you're like going in your inner corner, which I really, really like. Okay, so those are both sides of my face. This is the side that was blended out with e.l.f. and this is the side that was blended out with the Beauty Blender. And I actually have to say for this round, I think the e.l.f. one wins. I really loved the way this blended my concealer out. Okay, so I basically just topped my foundation with powder and set my concealer and my blush and everything. And I have to say that overall, I can't really tell a difference between both sides of my face. I feel like both sides look equally blended out. So do I feel like the e.l.f. Cosmetic Sponge is a 100% dupe of the original Beauty Blender? My answer is yes and no. Yes, because again, when I look at my skin, I have to say that I can't really tell a difference between what side was blended with what. So overall, I would say in that respect, yes, they're dupes. For me, the biggest difference between these guys is just how you got there. So how I was able to blend everything out. The Beauty Blender is definitely a lot softer. It's more flexible. So when I apply the foundation onto my skin, it's a much more gentle process. I also feel like because the Beauty Blender is a little bit more flexible and kind of squishy, it does a better job of pressing the foundation into my skin a little bit easier than the e.l.f. Cosmetic Sponge. And the e.l.f. sponge still does push product into the skin just as well as the Beauty Blender. It's just with the e.l.f. one, you have to work at it a little bit more. So you really have to press this hard into the skin. And because it's more dense and kind of firm, it can, I don't want to say it's painful, it's just not as gentle of an application as the Beauty Blender. So if you really don't care about that kind of thing though, then yes, I would definitely say that these can easily be interchangeable with one another. It just kind of depends on your preference in terms of the application. Overall, I think no matter what, I still think that this trio set from e.l.f. is definitely worth checking out. I do love all the shapes of these sponges, and I think for a $12 price point, this is pretty freaking awesome in my opinion. So they're really fun to use, they're easy to apply foundation with, and they definitely are very comparable to the original Beauty Blenders. If you guys did like this review and comparison, then please give this video a thumbs up so that I know, and definitely don't forget to subscribe before heading out. That way you don't miss any future reviews or comparisons. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!